3-1.
There's a ball driven deep to right field. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye.
Ben and Lynn on the call Friday night. Ooh, when I heard pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye of a Joe Bear, like I said, I knew baseball season was back. I had some whiskey. I had some goosebumps. It was just a great time. Ben, thanks so much for coming on this Monday morning with us.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be with you guys, man. I tell you what, it was always happy for, excited about opening weekend of baseball. And as you guys, and we talked about before, guys, it's an exciting time at LSU. And look, offensively, it was exciting over at the box this weekend. The boys put up a lot of runs on the scoreboard.
Okay, and let's start there, Ben, because I kind of prefaced our whole first segment. I was like, look, it's going to sound like I'm really hyping this team up, but we got to objectively give them credit for what they did. I get that it was Maine, but they did break the 96 teams record for most runs in a series. They did that against Western Kentucky back then. So, like, what's your view of kind of how impressed or excited LSU fans should be based on what the lineup did?
Well, I was kind of the same way. I was like, look, it's Maine. And I got a chance to talk to the Maine head coach, on Friday. I said, Coach, how many times have y'all been on the field this spring? And he said, Ben, this will be the first time we've been on the baseball field since October. So, you put that into perspective. But look, this isn't the first time that LSU has played a team like that hasn't been here. And to your point, T-Bob, we hadn't put these kind of runs on the scoreboard, set an all-time record. So I think it's a little bit of both. I'm happy that, and I really thought the start of this team offensively was going to be important. And I don't care who you play. When you get off to this kind of start, it only brings the confidence level to another space, if you will. And so while this team is very young, you wanted to see them get off to a good start offensively, and they did that. You hate what happened to Kade Doty with a freak injury, but when there's injuries, sometimes, as you guys know, others get an opportunity to step in. And Joe Bear steps in, a guy we might not even seen on the field this weekend, and yet he has a tremendous weekend, and maybe he's in a position now you don't ever get him off the field.
We were talking about it earlier, Ben. When we played football, we would play like a directional school, and you try to get up for it, and sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, and you go out there and you don't play as sharp. So even though Maine was the opponent, like to your point, the lineup and the pitching staff still went out there, and they competed like it was an SEC series for them. And so that's good to see because that doesn't always happen. I know for us as football players, we know exactly what that feels like. And I got to assume you know exactly what we're talking about. Like you're on the mound, you're trying to pull back and reach for everything you've got. It's like, man, this is Maine. This isn't Mississippi State. But you saw this team go out there and play their own game, and they didn't really care who the opponent was.
Yeah, and look, I think you got to give the new head coach, Jay Johnson, a lot of credit for that. I think he's the guy, obviously, at the top of this ship right here, right now, and he wouldn't let his guys think down. It's been about every time we're on the field, we're going to work. We're going to work. There's no dead time out there. We're not going to play to the level of our competition. We're going to play to where we can play. And he's put a system in, and the kids have bought into what he's trying to teach offensively. I think it looked totally different than in the years past. I think they were more patient at the plate at times. I think the on-base percentage is going to be really good this year, and they're going to hit some home runs. We knew that, guys. I mean, look, they hit, fifth in the nation in home runs last year with 93. I think that number is going to go up this year as well. So, look, on paper, it is what it is. It's a good start. If you look around the league, you'd rather be where LSU was than you were where Mississippi State was. Yeah. They lost 2 of 3 at home. Arkansas lost to Illinois State on Friday night. Arkansas, number 2 team in the country. Others went down, too. Vanderbilt lost 2 out of 3 this weekend to a very good Oklahoma State team. And so, look, I like where LSU is. It's a good weekend to start off with. The offense was, in a nutshell, was really, really good. Some question marks still about the pitching, but we knew that. Michaela Hilliard did not have the start that we hoped he would have, and so that was a little bit disappointing. But look, Reiselman came in. He was blowing gas. We saw some other guys come in that really looked good. And so I think it was a good weekend. I mean, we'll know more a month from now, but so far, so good.
Well, and speaking of pitching, Ben, we got to talk about what we witnessed Friday night. So much on Blake Money's plate, right? So much made of his transformation over the offseason. He unexpectedly gets the Friday night nod. You mentioned opportunity and how Joe Bear had to answer that call. Well, Blake Money had to as well. And he looked like a guy that kind of craved that stage and craved that spotlight. You're obviously the pitching expert. How did you break down Money's performance on Friday?
I thought it was outstanding. I really do. And the Friday night guy is the guy that has the most pressure on his shoulders. And you're talking about a young man, and you guys know the story, that couldn't even make the postseason roster. And so you wondered if that Friday night moment would be too big for him. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking at body language. I could see it in his face if he was going to be too nervous or felt like he was over his skis a little bit. I did not see that. I didn't get that. And I think the impression he threw on the mound was he wants to be the Friday night guy. He wants that role. And I tell you what, he was outstanding. I looked for fastball command. I thought he had it on both sides of the plate. He threw his breaking ball in there, was able to land it for strikes and then bounce it when he wanted to get the strikeout. And so all in all, I think it was a big night for Blake Money. Now, if I'm picking on him, and I'm picking a little bit, I did not see a third pitch. Like I saw fastball, breaking ball. And that's going to be great against Maine because his stuff's good. We saw the fastball up to 95 miles an hour. But Blake Money's going to need a third pitch when we get to SEC play. And so I expect him to work that in as he comes forward because I don't think I saw one changeup the other night. It was all fastball, breaking ball. And both of those pitches are good, don't get me wrong. But that's not going to get him through 5, 6, 7 innings in the SEC. So he's got to develop that third pitch.
Ben, somebody else I want to talk about because we talk about Barry, we talk about Morgan, we talk about Cruz, we talk about the big three, and one player that kind of gets left out of that, we were talking about it earlier, is Kade Doty. And obviously, he played at M Springs, same place you played at. You've been watching him for a very, very long time. I mean, 12 RBIs over the weekend. This is a talented baseball player. When he signed with LSU, everyone was so excited because they knew what he could be, and he got a little bit of forgotten about, in my opinion, because of the other three guys. But he showed out this weekend, and he can be as good as anyone in the conference.
No doubt. And look, Kade Doty, and I said this on the air the last couple weekends, I think he's going to have a monster year this year. And the reason is one, he's a hell of a player, as you mentioned. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. He puts bat on ball, and he can blow it out of the ballpark as well. You put him down in that 4-hole when he is there right now, and look, Jacob Berry and Trey Morgan and Dylan Cruz are going to get on base one way or the other. So I think I can't recall one at bat this weekend that Kade Doty didn't come to the plate and there weren't runners on base.
Yeah.
And when you take one of your best hitters and you put him in that situation where he's going to make contact with the ball and sometimes go down the ballpark, he's got a chance to drive in a lot of runs. And look, don't forget, he was second on the team last year in RBIs behind Gavin Dugas. So he can drive in some runs. And I think that's a good point, guys. I think everybody's looking at the big three and they're going, well, it's the big three. We got to figure out how we're going to fix it to the big three. And then all of a sudden there's Kade Doty sitting back there. Yeah, y'all just keep worrying about the big three. I'm going to sit back here in this 4-hole and I'm going to mop up. And that's what he did this weekend. He flat out mopped up. And don't forget, Gavin Dugas led the SEC in RBIs this year. And he's sitting way down there in the 8-hole, 7 and 8-hole, which I think he's good enough to be further up. But we need some production down at the bottom. And look, he had a pretty good weekend as well. So I like where this offense is. Some other guys, the Giacomo looked good to me at times when he came off the bench. So, look, I can't complain about the offense. The offense is fine for me. It's exciting, but we'll see how this all shakes out with the pitching staff as we get a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, no doubt, right? And so I want to kind of give me an early view of this staff. The chat right now, we're on YouTube, and the YouTube chat is, a lot of Raiselman love going on. Obviously, if you throw 98 and look good doing it, a lot of people are going to get excited about that. But after kind of a weekend, McHale, not exactly having the start he wants. Floyd gets it out on Sunday. I know they want Javen Coleman to potentially be a guy there. Do you have, and then what's Fontenot's role? Do you have a clearer idea of maybe how this is all going to shake out?
I don't think you do. And I've tried to talk a bunch to head coach Jay Johnson about that. And I don't think he really knows right now, guys. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be some guys. I think, obviously, Blake Money, I think you could pencil him right back in for Friday. I think Mikael Hilliard gets another shot on Saturday just because of the experience. And he had a heck of a fall and a heck of a spring. This was not the same guy. Look, I saw Mikael throw 2 Sundays ago against the Gold team. Like, he faced all the best players. He faced Dylan Cruz and Kade Doty and Morgan and Jacob Berry, and he just carved them up. Yeah. And so I was surprised by his outing the other day. It just wasn't a solid. So I think he gets another shot as well. Now, Garrett Edwards, to me, could be a Sunday guy, maybe with Ty Floyd. Edwards is coming back a little knee, nicked up his knee a little bit, slipped on with a pair of shoes on or something. He's wearing a knee brace. He got 1 inning in the other day. And so I think he could build up to be a Sunday guy. But past that, I just don't know. I love the left-hander that came in from Arizona, Riley Cooper. He only pitched 1 inning, but he struck out 3. I think he's a good arm you can count on out of the bullpen. A really good changeup. Lansville was a little bit of a disappointment. He got hit a little bit his freshman year, but look, a freshman first time out. But I still like his arm. I was a little bit disappointed in Trey Shaffer, the transfer from Southeastern. He had a rough inning, but again, it's his first inning, guys. I've seen some of these guys throw in the inter-squad games, and they've been really good. So, I think it's going to do it on bulk again, but I'm looking for Edwards to jump forward. Raiselman, I'm excited about him. Ty Floyd's got the big fastball, guys, but I think his secondary stuff has to improve. He's not going to get away with the SEC with just one pitch. It's just not going to happen. And so there's still a lot of question marks out there, but I think there's enough there overall. And like we talked about last time, this pitching staff does not have to be perfect. It just has to be solid because you hope your offense, and all indications are, you're going to put some runs on the scoreboard.
Yeah, you're going to score 51 every weekend. Easy money. Great place to be.
I don't know about that, but 51, look, that don't even come off the tongue the right way. I was looking at, we scored 51. The next closest team in the SEC, I think, was 34, and I think that was Missouri, and when you got and look, we drove in 49 runs this weekend. The next closest team in the SEC was Alabama at 33, or Tennessee at 33. So, yeah, it's big-time stuff. And I'm looking at walks to strikeouts, too. That's going to be another big part of this offense. LSU walked 19 times, only struck out 21 times. So when you get close to 1-1 in that department, tells me you got a pretty patient offense.
Well, and it's interesting because you look at the top 4 inning getters for LSU, and I think they were like 23-4 strikeout to walk ratio. And Jay Johnson's been banging that, and Coach Kelly has all offseason, right? We're going to throw strikes. Again, you were the pitching expert, Ben. Did you see that change? Like, did you see that effort out of this staff?
Absolutely. Even with Michaela Hilliard's struggles, and we're picking on him a little bit, he only walked one. There was only one walk in that ball game for LSU in game 2. You go back in game 1, and the big guy, Blake Money, he only walked one, and Bryce Collins walked one. So you're talking about 2 walks in game 1, and you're talking about 1 walk in game 2, and it was more the same. So that's been a big improvement for LSU because you go back and look the last 3 or 4 years, guys. Not only did we have one of the top ERAs, or one of the worst ERAs, I should say, in the SEC play, we've lost a lot of guys, and that's been that huge emphasis that you're talking about is we cannot beat ourselves this year. We're going to have to make the other team beat us. And I saw that this weekend. So when you talk about the pitching staff, I think they have bought in to what you pitching coach Jason Kelly has been teaching. And I said, hey, we're going to be uber aggressive in the strike zone. We have to throw strike one. We're going to put hitters on the fence right away. I saw that this weekend. While a few of them had their struggles, I still like the way they attack the strike zone as a whole.
Ben McDonald, the legend. Catch him on SEC Network. Him and Lynn killing it on the call, as always, my favorite duo. It is baseball season once again, and it feels great. Ben, thank you so much, man.
Anytime, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Ben.
Yes, sir. You take it easy. Ben McDonald, love getting his perspective. Obviously, he knows the game as good as anyone, and I can't wait to watch him kind of continue to break down Blake Money and the rest of this staff as the year goes on. All right.
We forgot to ask him about the Vanderbilt watches.
Oh,
I just remembered it.
We should probably try to just set up a weekly with Ben.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's somebody sponsor Ben McDonald coming on here weekly. And then because if you have not heard, we'll discuss this coming up in a little bit, but Vanderbilt is now signaling in all of their pitches to the team on iWatches, essentially. And I don't know if baseball fans are going to like that. They're traditional kind of purists in a lot of ways. All right, let's go to break. When we get back, we'll wrap up hour 1, little NBA All-Star talk. We still got to get the LSU basketball team of the weekend. We got weekend winners kicking off hour 2. Keep it locked right here on Off the Bench.